Alright, welcome back to Roguetech, and welcome back to your first playthrough. So, we have one unit left of the Vanguard, which is a flea with a single medium laser and open back armor. Easy. Now, I do want to, as I'm dealing with this flea, and thus finishing off the Vanguard to secure bonus pay, I do want to reposition in such a way that no matter where the reinforcements drop, I should be able to respond to them. And the Locust, since it's a pair of medium lasers and machine guns, and, you know, zippy, I'm actually going to completely disengage from the flea. And I think I am actually going to opt into moving into cover and bracing. Again, the 40% damage reduction isn't going to do much since it's a Locust, but the two medium lasers aren't that impactful whenever I have all of the allies that are going to shoot at the only enemy left. To that end, I'm also going to try my best to get into a safe position where the artillery is not going to accidentally destroy my VTOL, and take a shot on the flea's back with the one unit that will be able to.
Right, Commander.
Okay. Right torso destroyed. That's an injury.
Like that, and you're toast. Right here. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unfortunately, it was right torso and not left torso, so now in order to follow up, I would have to once again move back away from where the reinforcements are going to drop, which I'm much more worried about the reinforcements. Literally, our VTOL could just keep staying in the back of the flea and destroying it that way. So I'm actually going to move the stealth into a neutral position at the base, so that no matter where the enemies drop, I can kick the mask on and run straight at them. Again, the stealth being the mech that we have with no weapons in the arms that we want to get in melee to punch with. And yeah, this is what I was talking about. Our allies are our allies are getting work done. Yeah. As expected. I didn't need to do anything else. That probably would have killed. Direct shot from an artillery turret. That probably would have killed even if I hadn't shot him in the back. But there we go. So we saw one. Ooh, that's a Brutus. Okay. That's a scary tank. So as soon as we get the chance to freely control the camera and look around, I'm gonna... They did drop in the ravine. Okay. That's bad, in part because, as you just saw, they had initiative on our bushwhacker. Because our bushwhacker, we stood and shot, and, did we just not get to act anymore? You know, I stepped away for a minute to take a quick break between recordings. I don't recall if we stood and shot last round, or if we simply lost our turns after the last reinforcement was destroyed. I'll have to see if maybe future me remembers to check that out. So, before we commit to anything, let's start with the first ones I saw, because that's a Brutus, and that's worth noting. So, there's a Spider, 5WDR, okay. Spider, 5V, with one of its two lasers broken.
I'm doing my part.
And a Defender Light Tank, which I believe the Defender Light Tank with Energy 2 Ballistic is just a medium laser and two machine guns. Nothing terrifying there. But then there's this Brutus. This thing is scary. It has 770 armor plates, 200 structure, and a wide assortment of weapons.
Yes.
That needs to go. But we definitely don't want to expose the Locust to that. So the Locust is going to swing over to the ravine. However, with our positioning on the high ground here, we don't really want to turn the bushwhacker to move and engage the Brutus or its allies, because then we would be putting our back to all the people in the ravine. Which, there's a Locust 3V, one machine gun and one of the lasers is broken. Stiletto. Okay. So, I believe the Stiletto is now classified as a proto-mech, even though it used to be considered a light mech. I mean, it definitely has the proto-mech 2 units per unit thing. Which means each one of these has 240 armor, 130 structure, 1 energy weapon, 1 missile weapon. Worth paying attention to, but not terribly scary. We have a Stinger, also light mech, very light armament, probably medium laser machine guns, and then we have a Vindicator. The 2R, I believe, is a PPC laser and LRM 5. And one of its weapons is crit. I really hope it's the PPC, so that it has reduced accuracy. Especially since it's acting before the Bushwhacker.
Commander?
Which is terrifying. Since we can't shoot either way, we are just going to sprint into cover to reposition the Locust. It's, at best, we would be able to get an extreme range shot with our medium lasers. Not worth it. Just reposition turn on the Locust. Please don't. Okay. Our Bushwhacker is not going to be able to drop on the escort mission because of that miscalculation. Because, for whatever reason, I stood and shot thinking that I was going to actually have... There's ammo in that leg, too. Okay. At the very least, the Bushwhacker is going to get a turn before anything else can shoot it. Unfortunately, there is no way to position the Bushwhacker where the right leg is not exposed to somebody. So, with the Bushwhacker, we're definitely going to run along the ridgeline, trying to break line of sight to the enemies over here, with our right leg away from the enemies on the low ground. That is, again, either my bad completely. In any case, Hellion, the one unit we actually have in position to respond to this mess. Kicking the mask on because it is a short-range brawler. And that's interesting. I could get 8 evasion. I could get 8 evasion as well as mineral field, which would be effectively 11 difficult. Well, not even effectively. It would be 11 difficulty to hit. 11 difficulty if, while I'm being shot at. And if the Brutus shoots at any of the buildings, it might be able to one-tap them. That said, I don't know if I'm going to get a shot on the Brutus. I think it's still the best. Do I want to risk... Okay. So let's just go over best and worst case scenario with each. If I do sprint to where the Brutus can shoot me. Best case scenario, it shoots at my mech and misses everything. Worst case scenario, it shoots at my mech and my mech takes a ton of damage. If I do not give the Brutus line of sight to me, best case scenario is it shoots a building and doesn't destroy it because it's not going to miss every single weapon on a stationary target. Worst case scenario, it destroys one of the 2 buildings. If we lose 2 buildings, we do not get the Omni Firestarter that we managed to have on the ground intact. So I think, in the interest of risking the stealth to try to secure the Firestarter that we have on the ground, I am going to sprint with mask for 8 evasion into mineral field. Hellion also, I believe, is the one that has the... No. Sarge is the one that has the ECM shield and probe. I mean, honestly, if we could get out of here with that Firestarter, I might not even drop on the other 1.5 skull mission. We'll see. In any case, for the immediate considerations, we can either... Okay. 5 WDR. Clan medium pulse lasers. So... just like the X-Pulse, +1 accuracy, +1 evasion ignore. I'm very curious what else that Spider is running. If it's running any kind of clan targeting gear, it's going to be insanely accurate. And our Alpha Strike is not going to do a ton to the Brutus, even if we hit, you know, a couple things. But we might be able to get some work done on the Spider. So, I'm going to do exactly that. And hope. 3 missiles hit. I'll take it. I'll take it. Side torso almost being open might be helpful. Okay, our ally is helping. Spider, jumping, pulse lasers, shooting the thumper turret. Okay. You know, that's actually a consideration that I did not think about. Was the Brutus might just focus the turret first. Alright, Bushwhacker. We are going to sprint across the rough terrain, sure. The Stinger currently has 6 evasion. The Vindicator has 4. The Vindicator is also the much, much bigger threat. I'm actually gonna hug the ridgeline more. As you can see, if I'm up top, the other reinforcements can also shoot at me. If I'm down here, only this faction or only this group can shoot at me. And yeah, I'm gonna sprint for 6 evasion. Although I guess the Brutus can fire indirectly, but I'm gonna go Vigilance, which gives me additional initiative next round, which hopefully lets me get around more so that my right leg is completely safe. And it also gives me damage reduction. And knocks off the stability I had. But let's try to do some work on the Vindicator.
Right, Commander.
Alright, he is unsteady. Beautiful. Alright. Now then, the Phoenix Hawk. We have 2 ways to go about this. And we are going to have to commit to one or the other. If we focus on the enemies that are in the ravine, we will be potentially improving the odds of our Bushwhacker making it out without an ammo explosion completely ruining our day. If we've instead prioritized responding to the Brutus with more than just the stealth, then we'll have 2 mechs over here with decent loadouts that might be able to do something. The Locust is definitely not going anywhere near the Brutus, so we are already definitely committing the Bushwhacker, the Mockingbird, and the Locust to these forces. And we have no control over what our allies target. So if they, for whatever reason, ignore the Brutus, we lose the mission. Unless we specifically can respond to it. And honestly,
Understood.
I'm kind of willing to take the shot with the large pulse laser. I mean, then again, am I? The back of our stealth does not have a significant amount of armor. And if we're at any point going to move in and punch anything with the stealth, we're going to want that back armor. And the potential damage of all 3 pulses hitting the Spider are not significant enough to warrant the risk. So I am just going to end my turn there. The Chasseur. Chasseur is out of range to engage the reinforcements over here unless we come down from the high ground. And I believe if we come down from the high ground to right here, we would then be able to run straight at them. Again, we are already guaranteed Bushwhacker, Mockingbird, Locust responding to these, as well as the vehicles. I'm fairly certain the allied vehicles will respond to the ravine. That said, our Bushwhacker has its leg open and has ammo in the leg. So I'm going to sprint with Tainted Loki, if nothing else, just trying to give them another target. And there's always the chance that we actually get an ammo explosion.
Copy that.
Or a knockdown. I'll take a knockdown. And bleeding out. Potentially a second medium mech.
Waiting on you, Commander.
Huh. That's fun. Alright. Also, I should totally be checking every activation with every unit. I should be checking to see if we actually have solid sensors to see exactly what anyone is carrying ever. But for now, I'm gonna just fly right on out into the middle of the enemy formation. And he's already bleeding out with very few turns remaining. So if anything hits the head...
Tell me what to shoot.
Okay, he's stressed. But yeah, anything that hits the head could cause further blood loss, which could immediately just... Right, we have allies. I really hope the artillery does not focus the ravine. I really hope the artillery does not focus the ravine. If it shoots at the locust and misses... Okay, they are targeting one of the small buildings. That is incredibly dangerous. Here comes the Brutus. Uh-oh. Okay. Brutus doing AoE damage. That's terrifying. On the bright side, all of the turrets are focusing this flank. So, that's good. Turn 21, Stiletto, is not able to shoot our bushwhacker in the right. Is actually shooting our ally, even better.
Commander?
Alright. And here's the entire purpose of us. I could just core the Vindicator. You know what? No, I'll shoot the Vindicator with the Locust. Okay. Again, defense is definitely the highest priority right now. 5 in cover, keeping our right side away. Ooh, that dotted line. Who is that dotted line to? Okay, medium pulse lasers will not have the range to hit us. So, we will go exactly like this. And with our 5 evasion and cover, we will try to kill the Stinger before it acts.
Got it.
1 machine gun destroyed. That's a potential crit hose. Alright. Who's next? This Locust. Moving in towards the buildings. Doing nothing.
Yeah?
Okay. Alright, Phoenix Hawk. 14% fail chance on the mask. With the mask enabled. Now, before I turn it off, I have to make sure I don't want to take that risk. Because if I use the mask, I can absolutely get into position to fire everything, including my machine guns, on the almost open tank. If I don't use the mask, I'm likely to end up probably around here, and I could still fire everything. If I want to swing around here, I would not be able to fire everything. Okay, I am going to disable the mask then. And as I guesstimated, the 7 evasion point is where I can get to. If I go move, I cannot fire the machine guns. The machine guns are kind of part of the play. So I will sprint. And I actually have enough for vigilance. That'll give me higher initiative next turn.
Let's go!
Very much worth it. And we're going to just bump the machine guns up to ×6, hoping to take this tank off the board.
From position.
Okay, we crit its fire control.
Badass.
That will give it a penalty to hit, but that's not a kill. That's quite different from a kill. Part of the reason... Oh, man. That's so dangerous. If they destroy 2 small buildings, we just lose.
What can I do for you?
That's so dangerous. I'm not sure the Locust is going to be able to get close enough to machine gun the Vindicator. But I think I'm safe to reserve Horic once. And still act before the Vindicator. Yeah. Okay. Stinger. Jumping and shooting the Tracer. Beautiful. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Right here.
Now then. We have the stealth. We can move and punch the spider. Or we can start shooting the Brutus that has a Mortar 8, SRM 6, 2 large chem lasers, and Rocket 10. So it is a primitive Brutus, but even a primitive Brutus is terrifying. And the Rocket Pack 10s, I believe, have 5 salvos each. So that's very much enough to destroy a building. Unless we can get it to shoot at, hopefully, a mech that it hopefully misses. And we're gonna do exactly that. We are going to not the Defender. Oh, but if our allies shoot their artillery at the Spider or the Defender, we're definitely getting hit in the back by that. What if I jump, actually? So I can jump for 6 evasion and cover. Hopefully with proximity to the Brutus, it might get some attention. It might shoot at us and miss a lot. And this would definitely let us kill the Defender before it acts. So we're going to go with the more reserved option. This is the wrong side, but it's fine. We have enough damage output that we should miss everything, actually. It's fine. That's completely fine. Okay. Spider. Still focusing a building that is almost down. Okay. We have 65 health left on that building. Okay, so actually all 3 of these little models are part of the same military building. That's actually a relief. I thought those were multiple. So 229 on that one, 241 on that one. Okay, we're not nearly as close to losing the mission as I thought we were.
Standing by.
That's good. I'm glad I didn't go for the desperation play of running in and punching when yeah, we can't reach with the machine guns, so let's hit the Locust in the back then. That sounds fun. I like backstriking people. Yeah, let's do that. Alright. So again, over here, the priority is trying to not lose the Bushwhacker.
On it.
And our allies, turn 12. The Sleipnir is very likely to attack something. Okay. I was not expecting the vehicle to ram and kill. Alright. I'll take it. And I'm actually going to stand and shoot with the Trocer, in part for the higher accuracy, so potential kill, and also in part so that they're more likely to target the Trocer than my Bushwhacker. Gyro destroyed.
Taking a critical hit.
Okay. That was unfortunate. But hopefully, if it stands up and shoots, hopefully the Vindicator... Engine destruction. Alright, so we have 2 medium mechs on the board. As long as we win the mission, we have 2 medium mechs on the board. That's amazing, actually. So I think I'm gonna sprint in part to get the backstrike on the Locust, but also in part to line up to start heading over and dealing with those guys.
Got it. Max speed.
Because our Bushwhacker, I'm not comfortable going and facing down that Brutus with the Bushwhacker.
Here it comes.
So the Bushwhacker is more or less confined to the 2 enemies left over here. Alright, so we did soak fire from the tank with the stealth, and it missed everything, which is glorious. Our friendly artillery, as expected, blew up the tank, and yes, would have absolutely destroyed our stealth. And we did soak fire from the Brutus, which is good because it wasn't shooting the buildings, and because we underran its mortars. But it's also bad because we're soaking damage with our stealth. But it's a trade-off.
What do you need?
It's a trade-off. So I think the spider needs to die. I think the spider dying is actually like top priority, because we're not going to be able to kill the Brutus immediately. It's going to be multiple rounds to kill that thing. But if we run right up onto this spider, we could actually shoot it in the side that's already open. We have jump jets too, actually. Hold on. So we can jump for 7 evasion, or sprint with our mask on. You know what? I'm gonna turn the mask off, and I am going to jump. And I want the accuracy more than I want the extra. Then again, not giving the Brutus a shot on the Phoenix Hawk, because we already soaked a bit of damage with the stealth. We're definitely not going to be able to drop the Bushwhacker on the next mission. So, in the interest of having mechs to drop on the next mission, if I decide to go that route. But that that absolutely destroys our hit chance. Yeah, no. The penalty to hit is not, I don't think it's worth it. But if we sprint, anywhere we sprint, the Brutus will be able to shoot at us. But we're not using the mask, which means next turn we should be able to get behind the Brutus with our Phoenix Hawk, as well as potentially punch it in the back with the stealth. So, not a kill on the spider, but we did. Oh, that's unfortunate. Clan Guardian ACM. Even better electronic warfare. So this is a prime example of the planetary government just being insane. They dropped a primitive Brutus and a full clan tech spider in the same lance. Like, you love to see it, but you also hate to see it. I'm gonna have such a hard time figuring out what to do for salvage. You know what? We're going to punch him in the back, in part because the punch does additional damage to tanks. We're going to be able to shoot all of our weapons, because the stealth has no weapons in its arms. And if the artillery does shoot at the Brutus, we'll be soaking it in the front rather than in the side or the rear. Plus, we can end up in cover, I believe. I believe that's in cover. I believe that's in cover. Yeah. So, with melee attacks, there are 4 types of melee... Well, 5 types of melee attack. 4 if you don't have a dedicated physical weapon. So, a physical weapon being something like a hatchet, or a sword. Yes, legitimately a sword. Or whatever other physical handheld weapon you may have. Or alternatively, whatever physical weapon may be, whatever. There's a lot of options. a lot of options. And that's one of the big focuses of the handheld rework. So, I'm not going to comment on physical weapons until I get and can play with a physical weapon. But, other than that, there are 5 melee attack types that each have their own benefits, their own drawbacks, and depending on how your mech is set up, you may or may not want to take advantage of one or more of them. So, starting off, we'll come back to the punch because that's what we're actually going to go with, but we'll start with the kick. The kick, you'll notice, compared to the punch, has a higher hit chance, and it does roughly the same damage. Now, the benefit, the primary benefit of a kick, is you can fire every weapon you have that is not leg mounted. And yeah, that's a thing that some mechs have. Some mechs have hard points in the legs. Not a whole lot, but that's a thing. And I'm fairly sure that if you kick and you have a leg mounted weapon, you cannot fire it. But you can fire arm mounted, head mounted, torso mounted, doesn't matter. Every weapon can fire when you kick. The downside is if you miss the kick, you will be unsteady and have 0 evasion. Period. That's the downside. So as long as you're gonna hit, kicks are great. But if there's a chance of missing, you know, like a 17.4% chance to miss with a Brutus standing in front of you, kicks are considerably riskier than you would otherwise want. Charges. In a charge, you cannot, in any way, shape, or form, shoot any weapons. But you'll see that the 44-45 damage has gone up to 158. The amount of damage that a charge does, and the amount of stability damage that a charge does, is based on how many hexes you've moved before impacting the target. If you do enough stability damage with a charge, you can knock a mech down even if it had 0 stability damage before you hit it. But, luckily, over the last period of time since charges were implemented, they are no longer a guaranteed knockdown. So, charging that Atlas with your 20-tonner, probably not advisable unless you really don't care about the 20-tonner. But it does leave you with absolutely 0 evasion, and it causes damage and stability damage to the unit that is charging. Now, you can see this medium mech slamming into the Brutus will deal 38 damage and 263 stability damage to the stealth. That's the downside of a charge. If you're charging somebody that's roughly your size or smaller, especially if you're booking it through a lot of different hexes, it can be very effective. And literally throwing a 20-tonner to the ground, negating all of their evasion, or throwing a hunchback to the ground, negating its brace, or something like that, can be very much worth the risk. But, again, in this particular context of it's a Brutus and we've got a stealth, a charge would more or less be a suicide attack. And you'll notice that the charge hit chance is the same as a punch, and lower than a kick. Now, the 4th type of melee attack that I feel like is still worth noting is the death from above. So if you have jump jets, and you activate your jump jets and then trigger a melee attack, you'll see, similar to a charge, that we are going to take damage and stability damage from doing the death from above maneuver. You'll notice the damage is actually a bit higher, I think. No, it is a bit lower, because it was 120 something with the charge. So it's a bit less damage, but the damage goes entirely to the legs. Yes, you can absolutely leg your own mech doing a death from above attack. Just jump on top of something big and stumpy and blow your legs off. But it does less stability damage. However, it will still leave you unsteady, I believe. Well, I'll put the little asterisk there because I haven't used a death from above in a long, long time. A lot could have changed since then, but I do know you do take stability damage, you do take damage straight to your legs, and you can blow off your own legs. including taking down your entire mech if you destroy both legs in doing a death from above. You'll also notice the hit chance, is considerably lower than the charge attack. And the death from above damage is lower than the charge attack. So, as far as I can tell, and as far as I've been able to tell without experimenting with doing them up till now, over the last however long, death from above has gone from the kamikaze attack of choice to being generally just a worse charge that is only viable as a kamikaze attack if you have to jump to reach the target to melee them. Now then, we are definitely going to back out of that because we definitely want to go with the last and safest option. We are going to punch. When you punch, you cannot fire any weapons that are mounted in the arms. So that's why a Phoenix Hawk punching is considerably less terrifying than our stealth punching, because our stealth has no arm-mounted weapons. The damage you deal is in part based on the actuators you have. So if you have upper arm actuators only, and you don't have a lower or a hand, you will do less punch damage than a mech that has a lower and less than a hand. Because basically, you're just ripping and tearing and doing your best to disassemble whatever's in front of you with the tools at your disposal. And some mechs just have better tools for, just melee attacks than others, like, hatchetmen. But that goes back to the physical weapon thing, and we'll talk about that once we have one. But for now, we're definitely going to position where we end up in the Brutus's back, in the forest for cover, and we're going to punch, which is also going to drop our stability damage. Worth noting, kick and punch, you have to be able to move without sprinting to reach the target to execute them. If you hit with the kick, and if you're punching period, you drop your stability damage. The only time you get knocked unsteady with the kick is if you miss. But since we're punching, guaranteed we're not going to be knocked unsteady. We're going to be able to fire every weapon, and we just get the extra bonus of punching them. So, here goes that.
Here we go!
And we hit, which does 22 twice. Also, if you kick, I believe it's a single damage instance of, in this case, it would have been 45. But since we were punching, each hand gets one punch. If you have things that add additional punch rolls, then it splits the damage further. But, yeah, so we ran into the back of the Brutus, and we almost opened it. That's pretty good. That's very handy. It's actually quite amazing. Now, we are still going to commit, I think, to the idea of our Locust going zoom, or not our Locust, our Mockingbird going zoom to try to get to the position across the battlefield as fast as possible. Wow. 0.9%, huh? All that means is, yeah, I definitely want to take the shot because it's better than nothing. The vehicles don't generate heat, and there's no reason to brace or anything. But, yeah, I definitely want a position where hopefully if I stray shot, it doesn't hit a building, because our buildings are getting dangerously low. Also, cool. It actually went up to 11.7. No stray shots, and we did hit one. Love it. Absolutely love it. The stressed means he's actually going to have reduced accuracy. He's actually taking the bait, jumping, and shooting our Phoenix Hawk in the back. Which is, a thing I was aware could happen. Was a thing I was absolutely aware could happen. He has 8 evasion now. Yeah, that's problematic. But our plan with the Phoenix Hawk is to now run around behind the Brutus and have our back away from the enemies. So, if the Spider, however, jumps behind us and shoots us in the back as well, we may have problems. But yeah, again, Bushwhacker, primary goal is just keeping everyone in our left side. Go ahead and shoot what we can. And just generally try not to die. That's the goal with the Bushwhacker right now. Just try not to die. And yeah, I think we're going to finish off the Locust.
right.
Hopefully. Nope.
Ready for orders.
And again, we're going to not worry too much about how much evasion we're generating with the Chaucer. Then again, can we can get over to this flank, but not in a position where we can get down. And we would be shooting at the spider. That 4.7 should actually increase once we get line of sight. That's interesting, actually. The spider is a threat to the Phoenix Hawk. No question about it. And this would potentially put us in a position where we could come around this ridge and actually close distance. So yeah, I think I will pull the Chaucer off of the ravine, and we actually end up with a 14.7. I'll take it. It actually hit. Okay.
That hit something.
He is unsteady, which means when he takes his turn, he can't sprint. So he is going to move, which prevents him from shooting the Phoenix Hawk in the back. He's shooting at the turret anyway, but that's fine. That's actually very good. Very, very good. Could not have asked for more.
Need something, Chief?
Now, I'm pretty sure that Brutus hasn't gone yet. Yeah. Brutus has not gone yet. So we still may be in for a world of hurt. But at the moment, we're going to continue our strategy of trying to kill this Locust while also getting in a position where the allied friendly fire hopefully will not hit us. Still not killing the Locust. It's fine. We are now in a position where even if our friends do shoot at the worst possible targets, like the Locust from the front, we are not, I don't think, in risk of actually getting hit by any of that. So that's cool. What? Wait. Oh, allied turrets. Allied turrets shooting the spider. Okay. It is now unsteady. That is wonderful. And, yep. That is a Brutus. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've given up on the whole idea of keeping any of our mechs pristine with the intention of dropping on the escort. At this point, I think my goal is just to actually destroy all of the enemies and get the bonus payout so that I have the C-bills necessary to build whichever medium mech I end up taking.
What do you need?
Alright, Chaucer can actually get down straight away. Can get 7 evasion, and can shoot at the unsteady spider. Oh no, that would be... Oh. Yeah, no, the 35.7 there is more impactful.
Engage.
Because it's a 60 damage pinpoint. Like, all we need is a single... whatever. A single tick of something on the spider. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention to initiative order. He actually got a turn. But our allies will finish him. 100%. 100%. Okay. The Brutus did not move, which means if we melee it with the stealth again, we will have 0 evasion. Which means if we don't kill it with our 0 evasion, we probably explode. So I think I'm actually going to reserve with the stealth. Again, I'm in cover, I have 6 evasion. I'm just going to sit there with the stealth until the Brutus has acted, unless I can kill it with the Phoenix Hawk or completely open it with the Phoenix Hawk. And the enemy Locust is doing nothing.
Good to go.
Running and hiding. Okay, again, as long as I keep my left side to the enemies, I can actually contribute at extreme range. I think that's more meaningful. Again, just keeping my left side to the enemies. I actually should have twisted... Well, I couldn't twist any better while still shooting at the spider. But, this is also its fresh side, so that's unfortunate. And we dropped the slug from the LB-10, so we can no longer increase our range on our LB-10.
Firing on target.
Ah, they have AMS. I did not pay attention to that.
Waiting for orders.
But we still did a little bit of damage, and again, I'm not super worried about the enemies over here, in part because the stilettos seem to be running, and the locust is, at any point here, going to die. At some point. There we go. Not necessarily a kill, but still a kill. Again, the stealth, we are taking our time, waiting. And, the spider shooting from the front actually gives us a chance to destroy the side torso and, at the very least, injure the Mechwarrior inside. With 60.5 to hit, I will take it. 100%. That is a 10 out of 10 shot. Or we just outright kill.
Gotcha.
Wait a second. We destroyed left torso. It had a Clan Guardian ECM and Clan Pulse lasers. But if destroying side torso destroyed the mech, unless at some point we had already crit one of the center torso engine slots, that means it was running an Inner Sphere XL engine, which is less interesting than if it had been a full Clantech mech.
Yeah.
And now that that's down, the spider's completely doomed. But I still think we let the Brutus take a turn before we act with our stealth. Unless, with the Phoenix Hawk, using its mask, we are able to get into the rear of the Brutus. We are not. Which means, honestly, I probably should have let the Phoenix Hawk, or let the Brutus act before the Phoenix Hawk as well. We do have a chance if we shoot it from the side of it going to the rear, but I think I would actually rather shoot the spider, potentially kill it, and then maybe our allies, who actually act before the Brutus. The Thumper here acts before the Brutus. Also, the spider's left side is completely destroyed, which means if I'm shooting it from the left, everything's going to go either to left torso, to either left torso or center torso, and that should be a kill.
Firing.
Honestly, overkill, but I just wanted to make sure. I did not want that thing potentially soaking any allied fire.
I'm listening.
Now we actually have a different decision to make. The Thumper is definitely going to shoot the Brutus. It has line of sight. It's going to act before the Brutus. So I think what we actually do here is we pull back somewhere, shoot the Brutus in the rear, maybe killing it, maybe not, and position ourselves to run back in and melee it again next round, which hopefully we don't have so much hesitation that it acts first. Yeah, that's what we do. 100% that's what we do. That way, if the artillery does shoot at the Brutus, it won't, because we killed it.
Took him down.
And that means we win. There's nothing but the stiletto left. All of our allies are going to shoot the stiletto every single time. As long as the stiletto doesn't somehow turn around and do something meaningful, we just win. And we get a lot of bonus pay because every building survived. Every building survived. And in addition to every building surviving, we're going to have destroyed every enemy on the board.
Copy that.
That's a heck of a thing. Not going to shoot. Stray pulse to the back of the Locust would be pretty bad. Honestly, should have just moved Embraced.
Waiting for orders.
But, This is the prime moment to be careless and lose a mech because of it. I'm honestly just going to move my bushwhacker left side towards enemy and brace. I don't even want to risk anything funky happening. Tainted Loki cannot get line of sight, but can get back on the high ground, so we'll do that.
Acknowledged.
Honestly, our allies should absolutely be able to destroy that thing on their own.
Hey there.
But we definitely want to get the Locust away. Our Locust being anywhere close to that thing when the artillery fires off would be terrifying. Alright. There we go.
Target locked on enemy 6.
Cool. Machine guns actually do very respectable damage to battle armor and protomechs, so more than happy to shoot that thing in the back. Try to position where hopefully the VTOL doesn't get hit by a direct shot from the Thumper. Standing next to the other Thumper, so there's zero chance of a stray shot there. Alright. And yeah, about an hour in. So I'm going to finish this mission, finish the video, and tomorrow we're going to go through the... I can't even, like... There's going to be so much interesting salvage to talk about, in addition to absolutely picking a full mech and being able to build it. So next video tomorrow is going to definitely be picking a mech, unless there's just like compelling reason to take components instead, and then building the mech and discussing that entire process. But for now, like, there's no way the stiletto sticks around, right? Why didn't the artillery fire? What? The artillery doesn't need line of sight. Why didn't it fire? Not out of ammo.
Standing by.
Okay. I guess it's up to me then.
Affirmative.
I really did expect our allies to just, like, artillery, boom.
Roger. Ah, damn. Let's do this, damn it.
I think I'm actually gonna try to take the bushwhacker and just completely break line of sight. Not even joking. Even with our mask, we cannot get into a firing position. So... just gonna move and brace, I think. Again, making sure none of our allies can stray shot us in the back, because short of a friendly fire incident not being very friendly, we're golden. Like, even if we don't destroy that last unit, we still win. And if we do destroy the last unit, it just means we get more money.
Confirmed.
More money would definitely be very helpful going into a financial report and hoping to build a mech. That's fine. That's completely fine. So, again, that has been your episode of Roguetech for the day. Tomorrow we will go through the the post-mission briefing, the crazy salvage list that's going to be so fun to pick apart, and then building whatever we get. So, till next time, have a good one.